All right, so I love when we can slip a little video game discussions in the mix of the podcast. So with the IGN, they posted an interview that Kojima, the legendary Hideo Kojima, did. And if you don't know what you should know, Kojima is the mastermind behind the well-known and super one of the best games of all times. No, no need to cut corner, to beat around the bush. The Metal Gear Solid franchise, but especially the first one. Yes. In more recent years, they're also known for Death Stranding, which that's a whole other thing. But this is a particular. I mean, obviously, whenever Kojima speaks, it's super interesting because if you know anything about like Kojima and some of this, like, and anything about some of the ins and outs of the Metal Gear Solid series, it takes a special kind of mind to really implement all the ideas that Kojima incorporates in his games. Like the Metal Gear Solid series, for example, at the baseline, it's just a stealth game where you operate a soldier, fighting against an enemy, a militaristic enemy. But again, some of the characters that are in these games, some of the things that the characters say, some of the things that the characters do, and again, more importantly, some of the ideas that are incorporated in some of these games are a bit out there, to say the least. With the Death Stranding series, I don't even know how you fully break that down. Maybe I'll get into it more if it's needed, the context is needed. But the main thing for this particular story, there is a quote from the interview. If you want to pull up the article to get more in depth, I might read a couple excerpts from the article. But baseline, the headline: Hideo Kojima thinks. Why would you go? Why would you
Reading that
type
from the
that?
Twitter.
Yeah, I was reading that from there. Kojima thinks that there should be a game in which the main character gradually forgets important information and abilities if you take too long of a break while playing. So, let's get into the article. Um, so, like I said, this is a guy that has very out there ideas, and effectively, one of the things that they potentially want to see one day is a game in which the main character gradually forgets abilities. So, in most games, I know a lot of casual gamers just play the Mario Kart of the world and party games, but in a lot of games, there's an upward progression. You level up your character, you gain new abilities. Like you start off at kind of like a square one base level of not being able to do much, and then by the end of the game, your character has way more health, way more endurance, way more moves, weapons, all these things, and that's the style that we've come to know and love. But Kojima in his infinite thought process, he would like to see something alternative to that. And I'm not going to read this entire article, but it's interesting because it talks about like one thing that he's super interested in is implementing um, time mechanics, like real world time mechanics. So for example, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but and some of this is spoilers, but you know, no, nobody really cares spoilers. If you guys didn't know, in a game like Metal Gear Solid 3, there's a mechanic in this game to where the health mechanic in this game is rations. So you pick up rations and then you use them at any time and you'll recover health. If you pick up a ration, this item in this game, and then you put down this game, you stop playing it, real world, and you don't come back here for a literal few days, the ration will turn into spoil of food, and if you eat it, it'll actually take away your health. Like, and this was something. When did Metal Gear Solid 3 come out? That was in the early maybe late 2000s. I think it was early 2000s. There was a mechanic that all things considering, it's kind of incredible. Like, especially when you think of like the games that are coming out these days, like the things that they incorporate in the games. it doesn't even come close to the ideas that he was implementing. So yeah, and there's also some real time mechanics that they wanted to incorporate in the newest game. This article came out before Death Stranding 2 came out, but obviously Death Stranding 2 is now out. So, one, I would definitely say this is definitely worth a read if you want to kind of get into the ins and outs of ways in which they've incorporated the real world time mechanic in games and some and reasons why they would continue to want to incorporate these type of things. Like and even something that could be like inconsequential because like one quote from the article is how they mentioned how I thought about having characters grow hair in games. Kojima reveals originally in Death Stranding 2, I was going to have Sam, that's the main character's beard, grow gradually over time, and the player would have to shave it. And if they don't, Sam would end up looking unkept. He explains. However, as Norman Reedus is a big star, I would have to make him look uncool. So Norman Reedus is probably the VA/model for the character. Despite this, the director says it is still something he might add in another game one day. So yeah, for example, in this newest game, there would be an idea where the character would literally grow hair in real times, just like how we all grow hair. And again, these mechanics, while they don't seem like much in the grand scheme of things, when you think about the average game these days, where you just pick a weapon, you level up, and you don't really change as far as like if you put it on the game, you pick up the game, your character will be exactly the same as when you picked it up, as when you put it down. I think this is like one of the most interesting ideas that could be incorporated in this day and age, even if the end product is kind of a Death Stranding 2 type game. Anyway, all that's to say, I hope you guys have thought about this question beforehand, even though I didn't really talk about it much. What do you think of? I guess baseline? What do you think of an idea like this? And I guess we can go back to the later question. But and is there any ideas that you guys would like to see in a game that you maybe haven't seen done in the past? So yeah, we can start with the first part. While you guys think about the second part, but yeah, what do we think of an idea like this that you're talking about, where like real world mechanics? Real world time influences the game. Does that seem cool, or would that actually kind of annoy you in the sense that like the game that you put down is not the same game that you pick up? And the crazy part is, I wonder if he's thinking about adults when he thinks about this, because as a kid we have infinite time to play games, but as an adult there are some people that don't play games. Like maybe they just reserve like games for like on the weekends. We'll start with you, Ghost. What do you think?
It's an interesting idea and concept, but I think execution would be pretty garbage. Cause like I get wanting to introduce new concepts and kind of trying to be original, but at the end of the day, like I don't need a lot of realism in video games. Like there's a reason why they don't have people going to the bathroom in video games. It's like sure it's realistic, but no
Well, you
one
can in
wants
some
to.
games.
For the majority of games, like no one's interested in like mundanity like that. And if I knew this about any game, this would be a great way for me to. Oh, I haven't played this in a week. I'm gonna boot it up. Oh, I would have forgotten abilities. Yeah, I'm never touching this game again. Like, I just for me personally, that's
What do you
100%
mean?
how I would think.
That's
What do you
It's
mean? What do
random.
I mean?
it's
You're
incentive for
telling me I
it's
have to
incentive for you
go
to keep
back.
playing.
The For one, like you said, like we all got jobs, we all have other responsibilities and things that keep us occupied. I am not I don't want to feel like I am forced to play the game and forced to take up the time and doing something that's not as productive as I could be doing. When I could just literally not do this and not be punished for taking a break or play a different game. Like I think I don't like this concept at all.
Dang,
I don't
I
think
want to
it's
combat this so much, but you already said you don't need realism in your game, so that's where it really ends and it starts and ends. Oh, fair enough. Sorry, did you have anything else on that? I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, that's all. But I'm curious to hear if you are for this, I'm curious to hear your argument in favor of it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's realistic to real life. Like in real life, say you're practicing a new instrument, or you're practicing how to ride a new type of vehicle. If you don't practice that thing consistently, you'll go back to square one. Like you'll forget some stuff. Like this is what that's real.
Bro, that argument does not hold water for me. The two biggest goals, in my opinion, for video games are, for one, to have fun, and two, for escapism. I do not want to play a game that's exactly like real life. I want to have fun that often I can't in real life. So if I have to experience something in a video game that is not fun and it's like real life, I would kind of hate it.
Well, the fun part is ultra subjective because some people find value in like continuing to learn stuff, but it's fine. It's fine.
That's not even the
Absolutely.
thing, though. Continuing to learn is not the game artificially taking away something you already learned.
But I'm saying like I guess fun is not necessarily the main element in this, but I'm just saying like it correlates pretty similarly to real life. If you are trying to learn something and you take long breaks away from it, you're gonna naturally forget. And I think some people can find enjoyment in like that either being a reason why they continue it, or they're kind of get that natural pissed off like, damn it, now I gotta go back and figure out how to do this. But you still you still progress with it. Nobody puts everything down because they forgot some things.
How am I progressing if I have to relearn something that I already learned from scratch? Even in
Yeah,
real
and
life,
let's
like
think about.
you can not do something for a while, like, and you will lose some proficiency at it, but as you pick it back up, you can relearn it in the context of how you originally were capable at it. Like, say, like, it's the saying, like, it's like riding a bike, never forget, blah blah blah. It's like, yes, in real life there's an element of that, but it's not something that is kind of artificially forced upon you.
I would say
And
I would say in real life it would take probably it's probably something that doesn't is not illustrated by a couple of days. It's probably more illustrated by a couple of years. Um, I know for me, like I have like super I have a decent level of basics as it comes to like potential programming, but if I'm not doing that like frequently, then I will have to go back to square one and be like, "Oh, okay, now I gotta go look up some manuals on how to do this or certain things. There are things in life in which you just have to like keep at it, or else you will just forget.
I think the problem is that it's in the way that like in the only way that I could see Kojima implementing this, the it doesn't replicate real life learning because like what would be forgetting and relearning in like your character forgetting and relearning in a video game? Right, for most games, to learn a skill, you have to do some whatever task or whatever X amount of times to, or whatever, just level up in general to be able to unlock a skill. If you forget the skill, you're going to have to go through something that you probably completely understand, like on a fundamental, the skills that were needed to get to that point, or the leveling that was needed to get to that point. So it's really just forcing you to play the game more without actually making it
That is the
feel
goal, by
like
the way.
if anything, it's
you.
antithetical to real life.
No,
Like,
I don't think so. I think it also I think it attracts to, especially with like working out as well. Like obviously we don't quote unquote forget how to work out, but if you take long breaks away, say you were at a point where you could bench 225, but you step away from that, you're not when you pick up that bar again, you're not just gonna instantly punch out 225 no problem. You might have to scale back down a bit. It does track
Right,
in
right,
some
but
ways in a way. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I would say that's true, but the replication in video games is actually people forgetting how to play the game. So, for example, if you step away from a fighting game, like you learn, an in-depth fighting game, Street Fighter 6, and then you step away from that for a while, you're going to forget. It's not artificial. You literally have to get back on the horse and relearn
Uh-uh.
the combos or whatever that you previously learned to continue to be proficient at the game. That's a real incentive to both continue playing the game and also reinforce like actual learning. This is just artificial to keep you playing the game longer. That's why I think I would be against it, because it's not real. It's just like a mechanic that you're just throwing in there that's supposed to quote unquote make you, you know, feel like it's closer to life, but really the gameplay loop that it would induce and the like the drudgery of it is like this don't sound like it could possibly be fun or enticing. I mean, maybe there's a way to implement it that I'm not thinking of, but I can't see it.
Dang. So you're against it too, basically. Fair enough. What about you, Wes? Do you see value in a mechanic like this? Or do you think Kojima's tweaking like everybody else?
I don't mind it. I think it could be interesting. I also think that it does simulate, and it could simulate, if it's done well, it could simulate space repetition, which is an actual learning technique, which is how we reinforce information that we learn. Where if it's at the right intervals, it can make the skill or whatever more. You can improve the skill more. So let's say that you forget this thing, and then you go back to the game after a certain amount of time, and you relearn it, or you redo the steps that took to learn it. You could step one step above in a level or whatever more quickly because you've done that reinforcement. So instead of going back to the same place you were with the same amount of effort, you take a little bit less effort and you jump a level again because you've reinforced it and you have more skill in that sense. So I think it's not a crazy idea. I also think it could be taken a step further in the idea. Now this could be like long term stuff across the entire length of the game, whatever the length of the game is supposed to be. But you could take the idea of, and this might you might think it's stupid too, but you could take the idea of being young and strong versus being old and strong in technique or strong of mind, and being able to do things that from a perspective of intelligence or whatever, or wisdom, that you couldn't do when you were young, but you were stronger when you were younger. So you had things that you could do physically that you can't do. Like you could take play with that dynamic as well.
Yeah.
If your character were to age.
That's low-key what they did in Shifu. Although that
Yeah,
that was based on how many times you died, though. But yeah, similar concept.
That's interesting. But yeah, no, I'm not against it. But to what Deshai said, to what Ghost said, I'm not I'm not sure that I would actually be too into the game myself, because I'd pick it up and then put it down for a long time, pick it up, and if the progression doesn't happen in a reasonable pace, I just keep replaying the same thing over a very long time, because I'm not
Well, the thing about it, I'm sure it would be a game that's designed in which you don't need certain specific abilities to actually like excel in the game. Like you can continue. I mean, just like how you can, in theory, beat Dark Souls without ever like leveling up. It would just be harder. So you can still progress.
Yeah.
It's just harder.
Yeah.
You're getting punished for not playing the game.
That's not a bad thing, by the way. I don't want to get into
It
like
is a
full on
bad
debate
thing.
mode.
Like,
It's not a bad thing. You guys make it seem like games are meant to be played. Like they're meant to hold your attention. And obviously, again, we understand that we can't necessarily do that. But like, wait, you guys think you should be rewarded for not playing a game? What are you talking about?
No, I think the game should not change based on how often I play it. My technical skills should be completely dependent on
Think
whether
like a game developer. How do I get people to play my game?
If you gotta
Dog,
force
if you
people
put
to
in
play your
artificial,
game's not that
no,
good.
people are not going to play it. That's the thing. Like you think that it's not going to work.
I think there's a way.
The people who
Worst
can't
dynamic
play
to
it
work.
because they don't have the time, it's not going to be like, oh, they force me now. I gotta make time in my schedule to play the game. It's not
I
gonna
think you
work
guys
like that.
underestimate. I think that it could turn into challenges. You see streamers doing subathons to get through a game. You'd see people pushing through these things.
There's ways to
I
incentivize
think-
people to play your game without punishing them.
No, but okay. if the dynamic is sufficiently nuanced, I feel like they could figure out a way to make it interesting. And I think Quest is right. Like there would be people that will try to speed run it and do all this stuff, and I think that for the people who don't really play games like myself, I don't think these type of games would. I mean, is for us in the first place. Like you have your audience, and they can gain maybe something in the dynamic, but when you go too far out, like it's not necessarily the game that is going to get non gamers into games.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing. You gotta think like gamers. Like you guys are just thinking of a person that like they can't be bothered with it. If a person's a gamer and they want to win, remember that conversation we talking about winners and gamers. You're gonna be like, all right, you know what? Tonight I'm not eating dinner. I'm playing this game, and
this is better than
This
pay to
just
win.
sounds foolish as hell, man, to me.
This is
But
better than
with Kojima, like, does he even really need people to be constantly playing his games? His games aren't like it's not Fortnite where it's a one of those models where you gotta constantly have people online to be paying for each the seasons or whatever. Like he's just making pretty much single like a maybe at most you could compare it to like a Dark Souls in terms of interaction with others. So
that is
artificially putting in a thing to make people play a game like that more is I don't even see the benefit for him.
that is the gag. We're talking about. I wasn't focused on the specifics of this specifically. But yes, we're talking about Kojima specifically and his single player, like one person just spending however long they need on a game. This mechanic doesn't necessarily seem like it is needed for him, in his game. But one, there's no developer that doesn't want people playing their game as much as possible. And two, um, actually, there's three. I mean, this is why they call Kojima kind of like a madman because he's implementing things that
He is a
not even
madman,
not even needed for his games. And three, yeah, like you're saying, like while it might not be beneficial for his game specifically, it doesn't mean the idea couldn't be implemented in a game, in some type of game. Because we're talking about like something that pushes the innovation of games, not just like specifically for a specific type of game. Ooh,
you could also
imagine if they implement this. This would piss people off. Imagine if they implement it in like 2K games. So you actually see your player get older, and they
He's
start
just
to get.
getting a gut.
you
Yes,
gotta play smarter.
he starts the game starts saying, "Oh, do you want to retire? Do you want to get the old player's contract?" Hey man, you could really push the limits with this type of thing.
But you could also have it where you forget like things non-sequential or non like the impact on your progression is not linear. It's not like you gain skills 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you forget 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like you might forget like a two, and you can still do things that have a considerable amount of force or whatever you need to progress in the game, but you forgot something more elementary in the play that might change the way you play. Not necessarily to just hamper your play or make you worse, but to make you more creative in how you play. Like
I
I feel like
mean,
there's a
this
lot of
exists though. I just feel like it shouldn't be tied to the amount of time you play the game. Like there's certainly games where you're given mechanics in the beginning that are slowly taken away, like kind of like training wheels. But again, I don't see how tying it to the person's play time is the way to go because it truly just alienates people who do not have the time to dedicate to the game. Like just in terms of just doing like 8 hours of gameplay a day or whatever, or even a few hours of gameplay a day on a consistent basis.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, Again, I think it kind of takes some time to really kind of think about a concise and interesting response. But I guess just real quick, are there any ideas that you guys would like to implement in games that you maybe have not seen? There's always like the easy ones of like more games that implement local player co-op. Maybe you guys still want to steal Kojima's and see some type of implication of real world time. Maybe not necessarily it decreases your your progression, but maybe it like some maybe more innocuous stuff like your player changes physically or what have you. Um, maybe more customization in games. You know what I thought I saw recently. Not saw recently, but so they're dropping the remaster of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And I was more so thinking about Skate, but I just got hit with the wave of like how you could really just obviously most games where you have your own character you can like what you call it dress them in whatever style you want. But I was just thinking of like the specific like custom ways in which you can dress your character, and it felt kind of close to home to like the thing that the characters that we were skating in, like it's almost how we want to dress. So I guess maybe an idea of like you can damn near dress how you would dress IRL for your character. Any ideas come to your mind?
I got a basic one, which probably exists that I'm not aware of, but I I think for one, like there should be more co-op games, and it'd be cool if there was features or abilities that were specifically designed around compatibility with other players and their abilities, like integrating, like if you have X ability, you can synergize with another co-op player that has X ability, and it's kind of, I don't want to say randomized, but it's it's more than like just a set a set number of techniques or abilities. You can kind of like get more creative with it, which again, this probably exists out there, but it's something that I think is would be cool.
Yep, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, obviously the co-op angle does exist. That it takes two type games, but the ways in which they could customize it so
Army
like
of two.
so
Yo,
you
sorry.
so you can see a variability in the let's plays between players. I think they could definitely work towards that. Yeah.
I'm
You
not yeah, I'm not very creative. I can't think of anything, partially because I feel like I've found my favorite genre that does literally everything that I want out of video games, so I don't have anything new, I don't think. Like my main one for the longest time was having a 2D or having um a 3D game with the depth of a 2D fighting game, and that's what that's my favorite genre of games now. So I don't need anything else.
that still makes sense. Well, I guess since we're at, if there's any ideas that anyone has that they would like to see implemented in more games, like drop in the comment below.
No, I got one. I think to stick with the time-based stuff, and I'm not sure how this would make for a game, but I was thinking back to games like Braid and manipulation of time, but
That's an
also
OG classic.
yeah, and I mean that's the type of game that I like to. I don't play games that much, but like the indie games, platformers, type stuff like that. But yeah, if you could manipulate time in the sense that you have to keep time. So let's say you could keep time going back or forward, and you had to constantly like press, let's say, left trigger, right trigger, to go forward or backward. And so in playing the game, you have to develop a natural rhythm as you play. It could be an interesting idea. Could get annoying, but could be interesting. And then when you stop manipulating time, you literally freeze, like you nothing. The scene freezes.
Oh, that's super hot.
That's a game.
Yeah, yeah, I think because like as you move, it's a first person shooter, but as you move, time moves forward.
as you
I
walk.
think when you stop, when you stop,
I
time
thought about that
freezes.
too.
But you're saying
But no,
backwards as well.
it would be like metronomic. Like you can tap and you can increase the rate of tapping, decrease the rate of tapping, but
Oh,
it's seconds essentially. And if you go
mm,
the reverse would be the other trigger or something like this.
mm,
But you have to keep time, and then you can kind of synchronize your movements to where you're playing in time.
mm. Sounds hard. As
Yeah, it
frick.
would be hard,
The ultimate gag is well.
but
I
you could
think
also stop.
I think in general we have no problem with if someone take these ideas because they would just because we want these things. Watch all these games that you guys are ideas be implemented in the next coming months.
Make
someone's
sure you give
definitely
me
thought.
credit.
Someone's definitely talking about. Write this down as we speak. But yeah, um, we're no we're no legendary game directors like Kojima, but I think everyone has things that they think might make for an interesting idea in a game. Um, whether they manifest themselves interestingly or if they're kind of a bust, that's yet to be determined. But again, salute to Kojima, and yeah, while I'm always gonna not always hope I don't want to, but while I am likely to shine on the gaming industry, I'm never opposed to different ideas, and if I can get the community interested in checking things out, then that's not a bad thing either. So, okay. There's nothing else we can go on to the next topic.